Hello, and welcome to Steel Division 2. We've got a game here between myself and Frubblord on whatever this map is. Right. HS129 coming in. And interesting thing with the recon plane, this was being just discussed in the Steel Division League here. I specifically pre-fired, right, so that the HS129 would begin its attack run. And you can do this sometimes with the, what's it called? The AT plane 2, right? Little tip for you. If you're in the attack run, HS129s can actually switch target, like, effectively. Right, and now, having seen that and only seen the two units here, Cetrario has got to be moved forward, trying to move the Flamer forward as well. But, fairly quiet start, fairly normal for this map. Haro Cheyenne? No. But, flamethrowers, lots of units coming in here with just two Strel KSVTs and a 50 mil to try and clear them out. We'll have to see how well that goes. And now SG versus Double Sniper. Of course, Double Sniper is in the open. The SG is not. The IA is going for the OB. So I'm going to smoke off my sniper before it gets pinned down there. And now in the center here, this 75 mil. Oop, just barely sees this SU-122. Not for now. And yeah, a little bit of an infantry engagement going on. But yeah, now that the other machine guns are in and the HS-129 comes in for a second strafing run, as she goes down, and I'm going to get a no advanced position down there. So, what does the Romanian 4th Monte really struggle with? Well, a little bit of tanks, I would say. One of the major weaknesses of the division is a lack of tanks in A, alright? And if you do have a lack of tanks in A, it gets very, very dicey sometimes. But 2-star Pack 75 over here getting 3 shots, none of them hitting on this SU-122. Thankfully, I do have 90mm heat shells, so despite that getting absolutely blasted, SU-122 does go down just because of the rate of fire. 37mm T-34-76 coming in to defend. Not the worst idea in the world. HS-129 was going for that, but is going to readjust now and going for the T-34-76 instead. Frubblord is on Vanguard, which we have seen more and more of these days, as the infantry, nothing quite is happening in the infantry in the north, just a little bit of engagement, but HS-129 comes in for the T-34-76. Ooh, is the 37mm going to be able to force it back? I actually lose line of sight there. And T-34-76 does get away with it for now, force to retreat that unit. Anyway, another great thing about the Romanians, though, is that they do have bazookas on their on their leaders, right? And you also got to be quite wary about, ooh, what are they called? I'm sure we'll see them sometimes. Inventory Dakari here, Panzerschreck units. So, very useful in that regard. And the Lieutenant VM is coming forward. Is going to get a Panzerschreck shot off on that damaged T-34. And now it's going to be forced to reload. Machine gun's not being able to fire on 100 meters. They're going to be cheeky coming forward for that. Oop. Failed to get the Panzerschreck off with that just last second. And the argument she can come forward, but now the Pioneer can come forward, and with the ZB 103s or whatever, 153s, very, very deadly unit there. But yeah, R35s versus BA10s. BA10s actually seem to be outranging the R35s. Lucky bounce there. Really should be keeping these a little bit more together so they can double team targets and stuff like that. But Flamer gets 2 excellent pin surrenders on the shafts there, as my units here do finally push forward into these Strel KSVT's mortar, failing to do a lot of damage, and I knew I gotta put some kind of pressure on that mortar before it does come out and start blasting things. Now the Inventory Dakari coming in for this side. Might get around onto this T-34-75. 37mm also out in the forest here. Interesting to see that, but it's definitely worth microing them. Well, not really at this point, because I haven't really taken any artillery up, but you never know when your opponent is going to start targeting them, so it's better to get going quickly rather than not. And now we just see medium armor flooding in, which I'm going to have trouble dealing with, right? I did get lucky down here, Lieutenant VM having the Panzerschreck there. But versus a competent opponent, there's only so much that Panzerschrecks really can do. And, well, 47mm, they really don't have the penetration to deal with the T-34. Alright, the Inventory Dakari does at, like, close range. It is a 45mm there. But these 1943s, or these 1942s are going to be more than a match for it, and the 1943s are just slightly at risk there. 75mm coming forward as well. And, yeah, infantry to carry, advancing forward. Wow. 2 Stravniki squads moving in now. Do have a Pioneer here, but IR is coming in for them. 37mm. Likely going to force that off, though. Oop. Maybe not. Do get the bombs off. Just a little bit of damage on the Stravniki. Nothing too much, though, as my units are all spread up apart in the north here. And oftentimes, if you are pushing in this area, alright, throughout some kind of a need, it often is very hard to actually get a secure position in this town, just because you have no proper reinforcement road to it, right? Like, you'd have to come all the way up here, which is always dangerous, because this area is going to be in control of the enemy, or otherwise figure out something how to do that. But Flamers here versus Tango Thessalonikis. Tango Thessaloniki did throw its Molotov already, so the Veneturi Kari did get its TNT off, and that will go down. Second Panzer Strike shot on the M4 A1 as well. SG coming in for the church. Gotta be able to provide cover and fire over any units that poke out. And first IL-2 coming in. Do have the Vickers 75mm meter up and running, though. And we'll have to see if that manages to hold off the IL-2 here, 6 minutes into the game. You still have a relatively good position down here. Veneturi Setri forced to fall back with T-44-76, and the IL-2 actually manages to drop its bombs onto one of my sniper squads before the Vickers 75 can finish it off. So definitely need a little bit more veterancy on something like that. And we are going to be bringing the commander. Commander, of course, kind of find itself hidden in these trees. And the 75 is going to be doing its best here. I'm going to bring in a couple of AT guns as well. That's really needing them. Like, the town position is almost completely falling here. Getting just off the edge of his excellent income there. As the Tango Thessaloniki here also manages to clean up some of these units. Might even get the Lieutenant VM here, if I'm not careful. Though definitely will manage to get it as it switches targets, but that does leave my Pioneer alive. So, yeah. Edge just went to 9, forced off again. T-34s, this one's stuck on an alignment bug or something. Man, back gardens. They've gotten it stuck in the dog pot hell. Oh man, that's a little bit funny, but yeah. Clearly sees it, and then can't do anything about it. Terrifying. This back 50 is going to be able to move forward, though, eventually. And 2 more Veneturi to Kari coming in. I really just need to prevent a complete, total collapse on this side before I do manage to get my tanks into Phase B, right? 2 cards of, Panzer IVs. Should be able to deal with some of this medium armor here. Especially once I've got Maverick income. Well, that's where I will be at an advantage, right? And that's at least the hope, but man, 4, 5, 6 tanks here versus 2 AT guns for the time being. Isn't looking out too well, but these T-34-76s are taking shots from the 50 mils. 50 mil forced to move there, and I finally managed to get this unit out of position here. Veneturi to Kari, unfortunately, reveals itself to the Stravniki before it can get either TNT or bazooka off. But finally, the 50 mil does start firing APCR, and it's going to get on top of that T-34-76. The 75 mil is also doing its best, I'll say. Try to kill some of these tanks, so T-70 does go down. Veneturi to Shetri just managing to keep these Stravniki from moving forward. But multiple T-34-76s focusing on the 75 mil. It's constantly switching targets as well. The A-10 does go down, but yeah, next shot it is going to be dead. So I'm desperately bringing in HS-129. And like I said, even if I didn't see these, I could have done fire position orders, but I just completely mucked that up. I don't even think I right-clicked it. So yeah, I got the ROG HS-129 to attack. Funny thing that. As more Tango Thessaloniki units to clear up my troops in the north here. So I'm going to be forced to fall back from that position and get back into this tree line for the time being. Second 75 coming in, this time a little bit closer to the commander, right? And HS-129 is going to be able to come in and move around, and I have, thanks to the AT guns here, just about managed to hold back as Frubblord is forced to move some of these units to different locations to really push for it. Alright. HS-129 still flying around. 50 mil does get pinned down. There's still 3 or 4 tanks here, so still a little bit of a danger, but we are now into B phase. Entering into B phase, I will now have the advantage. already having put it on to 12 to 12 here. Frubblord has fought tooth and nail for the town, but I knew that he would be likely to win it, right? Soviet divisions, just in my opinion, would face much better time in a town than potentially the Romanian divisions. But the Romanian divisions, let's see, we have even Pioneer. This is a 150 meter SMG. This is like a crazy good squad if you really think about it. And then Vittorio de Monte, not bad themselves either. All right, lots of good units, and infantry with the light machine gun, definitely a little bit of units that are able to support themselves. We see the first couple of Panzer IVs coming in. HS-129 just hanging back. Now there's the ESU coming in, as well as lots of stroke EDP and T-3476. It is generally a good idea, right, if you are playing Vanguard, consider taking the stroke EDP card in Phase B, right? Because in Phase A, you will have enough income for support vehicles and stuff like that. And you can use the support vehicles, and I suppose Stravniki, at such in Bezelugo specifically, to push forward. So you use your unicorn units and such in the early phases. And then the Stark EDP make an excellent unit for holding lines, right? You just dot them in the buildings. And then together with the tanks that you'll hopefully have built up over the course of a phase, you can take on pretty much anything. Right? 37mm firing, though. Two M4A1s here, forcing off the IAR, together with the 37mm, which has moved forward. Another IL-2 coming forward. Two Strafs moving forward for these units. I am slowly running them away, but now we're going to have to see if the 6 DPs can pay off versus my just multitude of units here. And looks like they are. The Lieutenant VM going to be going on very quickly. But Vittorio de Monte here, dual MG42, together with another MG42. And just the veterancy benefit there, as the snipers as well deal a load of suppression. Lieutenant does go down, but so does Stravniki. Be forced to fall back. Yeah, IL-2 is also forced back. First time, right? Vickers this time on the other side of the houses. But do have to be careful. We see these stroke TP are now just littering these areas. Panzer IV is slowly coming in now, and if I want to win this game, I'm going to have to make moves here in my phase before it gets to Phase C here. M2A1s are forced off by the Panzer IVs. Ooh, and actually the Vickers here getting an excellent shot on the T-3476, but not that I really expected that. Man. All these towns, such weird sightlines, really. Up and forth and back and forth. Right. Funny. But now, hopefully, with the help of these 2 Star Panzer IVs, I can bring in some infantry as well. Potentially, military to shed through. We'll also do a fine job, as long as I keep them at the 100-meter range. Or, not 100, 1,000-meter range. And yeah, VP near here. Gotta get up to Shraf's face. And the Monte is gonna walk right past it. Really could use that, but I was expecting one of these Shrafs had died already, so TNT finished off one. Might get launched on the second one if I am lucky. Nope, just barely doesn't, and they're gonna walk past each other. Funny stuff. Lots of Victoria to shit there coming in, and I really thought there was more T-3476s. I didn't think I did a good enough job taking them out in the beginning, right? In that crucial last couple of minutes of Phase A, but now the Panzer IVs have come in. I think the armor has slowly swelled back into my favor, but the Soviet infantry, no slouch at the short-range engagements here. So I'm going to be a little bit weary about in these houses, and potentially for stuff like this. Generally, infantry are likely the best kind of thing that you want to bring for town fights, just because they do have that 100-meter SMG, so they're not like completely useless out in the open, right? But they're not absolutely terrible in CQC either. And it's that dual role that really does lead the Romanians into such a dominant position, in my opinion. Boston coming in for this position, having cleared out the 2 Avtos that did make their way forward. Does pin down a lot of them as these Strafs come in, but Lieutenant coming up for that. And yeah. Snipers doing their job. Both of these are pinned down. Or well, one of these. Panzer IV does not have any line of sight. And Frubblords are going to have to think up an answer for that. Inventory to Shettery here. Does manage to pin down the Stravniki. That's the Victoria Monte comes back for it. Me and Pioneer coming in together with 2 more Montes. Air for the north here, trying to prevent any more Bostons or IL-2s from just harassing this position. Right. Charnos coming in for this flag. We'll set it back to a 12-12 for Frubblord. And really, this game would be a lot more of a problem for me if I hadn't secured these flanks the way I did, right? An aggressive push over here, when you know you're going to be losing in the town, is generally good. Panzer IV's kill on the T-34, takes a shot in return, though. And forward GT goes down. I wonder to what? It must have been like a PTRD, but normally trucks should have higher resilience. I'm going to have to figure out what killed that. Supposedly multiple PTRDs shooting at it, but I don't think they should die anymore. I guess the flamers are low health squads to begin with, but yeah. Infantry and VMP ain't gonna be able to clear out the Strafniki, no problem. Unless the VMP reload, right? 3 more TNT shells there. And now we see Su-76s coming in. These are the AT variant, right? They've got radio, I believe. But I don't think they have an HE loadout, right? You see the 17 here, 35 here. Yeah, AT version. And these are nasty little tanks. He's brought in a lot of them, like 6. Wow. Which is, despite the fact that my Panzer IVs have vet, these have base rate of fire really, really highly. And in a town environment, right? Panzer IVs are not actually that brilliant, if you can call it that. Strafniki, you're almost running out of PTRD ammo. Just bounce against the turret cars and try to get my one tap and running, but Frubblord is on point. Getting the Strafniki out of there. Wolvagan forces one IL-2 back. It's going to force the other one back as well. So, good idea there to bring that up. And I'm surprised he hasn't switched his air to focus down here. Though I suppose with the Strafniki going down, it's a bit hard to bring focus. I've now brought in multiple 2-star OBs, right? And these are some great guns. I do recommend bringing them in at a higher vet. Recently, I recommended someone that generally when you're talking about veterancy, artillery isn't worth bringing, but low caliber, high rate of fire guns, right? We see here 12 rounds per minute. That's their base rounds per minute, right? This goes up to like 15 or 16 at 2 and 3 vet respectively, which is just a little bit crazy, right? You can get a lot of damage on, especially if you stack them up onto something like a 37mm. And the 37mm is moving away, so credit to Frubblord, where credit is due in defending his position here. And ZSU's, of course, going to be much harder to counter battery, as you Su-76s slowly make their way forward. I have basically run down a lot of the infantry here. Infantrists moving forward together with the Panzer IVs here. Yeah. Multiple Panzer IVs and a dirty carry moving forward. There's only an SG over here. Panzer IV is getting shot at by DP, which is becoming a little bit of a problem here. But, yeah. Oop. 37mm desperately running away, but I target this directly on this 37mm. I would see here now, just because of the rate of fire, even though this was being microed like properly the entire time, I still managed to get it like multiple hits on target, just because of the benefit of the aim time there. And now Frubblord using an Su-76s in little groups like this definitely are going to be very dangerous against the Panzer IV, and that's a lot of built up veterancy there. So they are slowly going to be hitting. Bouncing, thankfully, for me, but 2 versus 1 do go down. That's one that took a hit earlier and doesn't even get a return hit for that. But a target carry, though, definitely the type of counter that you want for these, but not really doing that well against them. And yeah, close to the range. The Panzer IVs just take too long to aim, and these are just going to be... Wow. Luckily, I do take out one, but not a very effective trade for my Panzer IV. This other Panzer IV is stock, so I've only got 3 left. And we might be seeing another back and forth here as these Su-76 and more infantry comes in to try and pull that back. Bomber comes in and saves the Vittorio de Monte here. So RPDP forced to fall back. Another 37 over here. Vittorio de Cari here. Not going to be able to sneak back and perform any moves, but it definitely paid itself off earlier with killing that T-34, so I'm happy with it. And the OBs are a little bit far forward. Not going to be going for this 37mm. I might potentially have radio on it, just because of the Vittorio de Chettere here, but which is another great thing about the Romanians, is their radio artillery, so definitely recommend card of OBs. Potentially the 100mm are also really good, but specifically 4th Monte, it gets Hummels, right? And Hummels, I think, are just the cream of the crop artillery pieces that you really want. At least that I want. And yeah. Doing a lot of work there. Just more hits, more shots on target. Is falling back, so but that would have been a very, or could have been a very easily killed 37mm. Is just barely going to get away from the looks of things. Being near your assaults here. Once again, 150mm SMGs and a flamethrower. This is actually an interesting thing with the near your assault, and same thing with like the Finnish dual flamer unit with triple Suomis, right? The flamethrower is nice, but in town engagements like this, oftentimes the SMGs start firing before the flamethrower, and then you've got like 2 MGs versus flamethrower, and it's just a kind of little bit of a pain. HS129 coded for one of the SU-76s. Bit of overkill there, but I do have to somehow reduce the odds here. SU-76, I'm surprised it didn't just keep rushing forward, but I suppose the infantry tier do have Panzerfaustes, and the SU-76 is now not going to be able to make them fall back anytime soon. OB's still firing. Now going for the Zis ones. And supply truck that I intended to use to fix up this tank is not going to be brought back for these artillery pieces, right? So, bit dual purpose there. BTRD still firing against the Panzer IV, nothing to provide recon for it, ironically enough. Man, town sightlines and stuff are so weird. If this sector had been in the house over, like, the Panzer IV would be able to shoot at it, but not so. Shooter killed, so thank you, Panzer IV, and the 3 stars for managing to do that. 4 Su-76s left. Ooh, Panzer IV there gets a kill too. And now, I think this is probably the last of my Panzer IVs here. Yeah, I'm sort of bringing in Martyrs, which potentially might have been the call, like a better call to bring in the first place against Su-76s, because like both units are like fast rate of fire paper targets, but Su-76 is about as expensive as a Martyr, so don't necessarily want to do that. And the 3-star Panzer, I thought would give me an advantage here. Particularly because it does have a turret, but as we saw, the turret takes apparently forever to turn, right? And now, the Panzer IV might actually get a jump on some of these. But, 2 Su-76 shots there. They do team up on it. I do have a Lieutenant VM that I could be pushing forward to get kills on these, but, yeah. Majority Shettery here. 1 health unit. Still manages to pin down these units. Alright, those coming in. Final Brennan and Mobile Wagon as well. Should shut down his air power for the rest of the game. And with me focusing on the AA here, these are taking a little bit of damage. This 37mm goes down. The other 37mm went down as well. It is looking fairly good for me. No more movements down here. Just Cherno's blindly pushing forward, trying to accomplish something, but it's a well dug in position. Not likely that anything's going to happen. And yeah, Frubblord does not have anything further to look forward to. So, an interesting back and forth here. Andrusha here, plastering Panzer IVs. Does get a kill here, potentially with the Su-76 come forward, might get some more kills. But I have still double the tanks he has, which really just shows quite a lot of things. Panzer IV here, 1-shot kill on the Su-76 there. 2 more Panzer IVs moving forward. Yeah, the problem with the like constantly switching the HE and stuff like that, really a big pain. Su-76 fighting behind the building. Does trade, but now all the Su-76s are dead with this one going down to the Panzer IV and the Martyrs there. And now it's just Cherno's. Is going to bring in 3 more T-34s, which, you know, could help. But at this stage of the game, it's fairly safe to say that it is basically over. And I've brought in 250-9s, which are very powerful in the late phases of the game. I do have a B phase card of these, but yeah, 250-9s are just going to be able to clean up all this infantry, no problem. Basically, none of them has AT besides these DPs, which are enough to deal with a 250-9 to the credit, but with the recon there, it'll be able to spot them. And the PTRDs don't really have the rate of fire for it. Artillery fire again. And now they're going to be driving right into it. Do get a lucky shot there. And kill. Ages 1 to 9, providing recon over here. The Imperial inventory car going to clear up that Cherno. The other one gets cleared up as well by the sniper just out in the open. And yeah, T-34s coming in, but these are now 0-star T-34s, potentially even a C-phase card. It is sometimes useful to build Vanguard decks for the long game against Maverick decks. I've done it myself quite a few times, but in this type of position, yeah, not going to be ending too well. So, another victory for me. And I hope you enjoyed that game, because I sure enjoyed playing it. Yeah. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.